I'm your host, Jason Tartick, and welcome to Trading Secrets. We talk all things money on this podcast, and we're teaching all the stuff we just weren't taught in the classroom. Nothing supports this show more than liking, commenting, and of course, subscribing. Welcome back to another episode of Trading Secrets. Today, we are joined by self-made real estate investor, author, and HGTV reality TV personality, Tarek El Moussa. Tarek gained recognition in reality TV space after hosting Flip or Flop with his ex-wife from 2013 to 2022. Since then, Tarek has expanded his real estate and reality TV portfolio to new heights. He is now the star of HGTV's hit shows Flipping 101 and The Flipping El Moussa. In addition to successfully flipping close to 1,000 plus properties and selling over 1,000 homes, owning multiple apartment buildings and developing a self-storage facility, Tarek is a successful entrepreneur, real estate expert, and investor, and now author with a personal rental portfolio of over 200 portfolios, a wholesale real estate company, a production company. Tarek is changing the real estate game. Honestly, we're going to discuss all things. There is so much to cover in such a short period of time. Feels like you do it all from TV to real estate, flipping, author, and more. Tarek, thank you so much for being on Trading Secrets.
Man, that sounds busy.
You're a busy dude, man.
That sounds overwhelming. No wonder I'm all stressed out.
Yeah, I'm telling you, I'm looking at your resume. I'm like, I could go 8,000 directions in 1 hour. What direction do I go? Everything from hosting a show with your current wife and your ex-wife to flipping homes. But here's where we're going to start, okay? Because I know a lot of our listeners are they're trying right now. They want to make a couple extra bucks. So we're going to get into some of the media and entertainment. Let's start with the flipping, right? We know 2024 was like one of the lowest home sales years in decades. And I heard you say, actually on a podcast, you said, I've learned more in the last few years than I did in the last 20 combined when it comes to flipping, just because of inventory, interest rates, just the overall economy and current climate in real estate. So if someone's listening to this, they're finally getting a couple bucks, they're interested in flipping a home. What do you tell them in 2025, given all these moving parts, and where do they start?
Great question.
Yeah.
So I'm going to simplify this as much as I can, and I'm going to take away the biggest roadblock that prevents people from getting into this business.
Okay.
And it's money. So 99.9% of people, they think they can't be a real estate investor because they don't have money. But what they don't understand is it doesn't take money. So there's something called wholesaling real estate. Are you familiar with that?
Yes, I am, but some of our listeners might not be. So tell them about it.
Okay. I love this. So wholesaling real estate. Here's an example. I'm Tarek El Moussa. Let's just say I get on a phone and I start cold calling people, realtors in Tampa, Florida, and I want to buy one of their fixer-uppers. And they say, okay, we'll agree to it and you can buy it. Let's say I lock up this house for $200,000. When it's fixed up nice, it's worth $450,000. In my contract, I'll write Tarek El Moussa is the buyer and or assignee. When I say and or assignee, at that point, that means I can assign the contract to a third party. So in this situation, if I got a contract signed at $200,000, I can call a fix and flip investor. A lot of times it's a contractor and say, hey, I got this incredible deal. I can sell it to you for $250. Once it's fixed up, it's $450. Do you want it? In most cases, they're going to say yes. Why? Because the hardest part of this business is finding the deal. And they just want to fix it up, do the design, do the work. So who wins? Everybody. The seller, they get a cash sale. They close quick. I win. I get a wholesale fee of $50,000 for connecting them. But by the way, I had zero money invested and I had zero risk. And who also wins? The contractor or the investor that buys it, because they're going to flip it for a profit.
Okay, so I know the number one question that people are thinking right now, if that's the case, you find a property for $200, it could go for $450. You then are the assignee and you can assign it and then sell it to someone for $250 and make $50K off the top. The big question I know that people are thinking, well, if you got involved with this from the get-go and you got it for $200, how did you not have to put money down for the $200,000?
Well, that's a great question.
Yeah.
So when we're working directly off market with owners, a lot of times we'll say the deposit will be delivered within 5 days. So then we have 5 days to find that buyer to go put in that deposit. Okay. And we disclose all of this information. So I'm just going to give you an example because it really frustrates me that people think it's so difficult to be in this business. And it frustrates me that people are looking for a better way. They're looking for a better life and they're doing all the wrong things. They're trying to go back to school. They're trying to get a raise. They're trying to work a second job. They're trying to work overtime when it's a complete scam. It's a complete scam. right?
Yeah.
Because that is not what's going to fix the problem. So
and it's like it's interesting because these things you're talking about right now, you're not, I mean, I got an MBA at a top business school. You're not taught this shit in MBA. You're not taught it in school, not any form of school. These are the places you now learn from people that are doing it.
Well, they don't want to teach you what I'm teaching. Who's gonna run the country? Who's gonna deliver the packages and put the mail in the boxes? And who's gonna build the things and fix? You see?
Yeah.
This country is a big business, and if our business runs out of employees, well, who's gonna run the business?
Right.
So why would the system teach everybody to go against it?
Yeah.
What we want to do is make our country as smart as possible so they can work to build this country to keep us powerful. But that doesn't mean they're going to make you smarter, better, or teach you how to make money. Making money is different than being educated. That's where people get confused. You can be really good at making money but no education, or you can be highly, highly educated, but not good at making money, because those are two different things.
Yeah. And so it's also real quick. I think in general, we put these stigmas and we assign them with certain industries, just like you said. We assign real estate with you need capital. Otherwise, you can't make anything happen. And therefore, it creates the barrier, and therefore no one steps into it. And then they're back delivering packages or stuck with their student debt, like you said.
100%. And you know, I'm going to give you a story right now, and I think you're going to like this.
Okay.
This is going to open the eyes of many, many people. Unfortunately, there was the terrible hurricane that hit Tampa and St. Pete a few months ago.
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, yeah.
Before it hit, I had just started a new company with my partners named Steve Ross called Tampa Venture Properties. And what we're doing is we were buying houses, fixing, and holding as rentals.
Okay.
That was the goal.
Sure.
So I went out to visit Tampa a couple months ago. I gave him and this girl, Katie, who works from a training session. Yeah. So I said, I'm going to show you guys how to find deals. So we sat down on the computer at Zillow.com, pulled up Tampa homes, and one by one, I looked at the pictures in the description. I said, which houses look bad and which description says it's been flooded, they're looking for a cash sale. And one by one, for 30 minutes, I made phone calls. I think it was the fourth or fifth call I made. It was to a lady named Kristen. Okay. The house was listed at $789. I ended up buying that house for $662,000.
Wow.
On the spot. And here's what happened. She sold me 2 other houses that same day. And then I kept making calls. I ended up getting a 4th house. So within 30 minutes, I generated 4 different properties. And people will say, well, how do you do that? Yeah. Well, you got to learn. Well, how do you learn? I have content all over the internet. Yeah. You can literally go on ChatGPT and say, what would Tarek El Moussa do? Yeah. So the excuses are gone, right? And let me tell you what happened. I bought that house for $662,000. We put $120,000 into it. We just put it on the market a few days ago for $1.2 million.
No way.
We're looking at an estimated profit of $250,000. And that was 1 out of the 4 houses that I found in 30 minutes of making phone calls.
Unbelievable.
Will they ever teach you that in school?
They'll never teach you that in school. And think about how much money that is. I mean, $250,000 to your average American based on what's happening with current salaries. It's fucking huge. It's huge. Yeah, That's huge.
And I have all the data to back it up, the proof, the text campaigns, everything to show. In 30 minutes, I created over $500,000 in profits with almost no work.
Okay, let's break it down just a little bit further, right? So someone's like, all right, I could do this. Let me break it down. So you go to Zillow, you're searching flood, and that's in the description. Therefore, you know you have leverage.
So I'm not searching flood. So what I do is I look at everything. I don't try to limit, and then I just use my eyes. Yeah. I look at the pictures and I read the description. Okay. And if it says motivated seller, cash offer, flooded property, falling over, you look for keywords like that.
Okay. And that, creates opportunity for rehab and also leverage to buy.
Exactly. So in real estate, there's 2 ways to find opportunity. Most people think it's a shitty house. Wrong. It's a shitty situation. Most people in a shitty situation also have a shitty house, though.
Sure.
But really, what causes a fast cash sale is the situation someone's in.
Gotcha.
Okay, so I'm going to teach you this right now. I want you to leave today thinking, I can do this, and you can.
Yeah, I love it.
So now you're on Zillow, you're looking at properties. Keep going, ask me.
Okay, so I'm looking at properties, and now I have these big words, these buzzwords you just put in there. Now I know that I have some leverage, they're motivated, etc. I then know that I have to take an offer and get a discount from what the current price point is, which is what you did, right? You got like $150K off. So my next question would be, when you go in that negotiation process, how do you do that?
Very simple. 1, I start with a text message. Let's just say you're the listing agent on this property. Can we do that?
Yeah, let's do it.
Hi, Jason. My name is Tarek El Moussa. I would like to buy your listing at 123 Main Street, have you represent me, and pay you a commission.
Now I'm incentivized.
When can you speak?
Okay, so
that's my first message.
I'm calling you right away. So I'm the realtor. Let's talk. I'll call you in 5 minutes.
Would you call me?
I'd call you right away.
Great.
Yeah.
Yo, you want to buy it? You want to pay me?
Represent.
Okay,
I'm gonna get paid. Perfect.
What do you think the first question you're gonna ask me is?
How much you're willing to pay?
That's a great. You know what? That's a great question. Before I get that answer for you, do you mind if I ask you a couple questions?
Sure.
Okay, so how long has this house been on the market?
It's been on for 180 days.
Have you guys had any offers?
We've had a couple, but they didn't come through. They fell out. They backed out.
And what do you think stopped the home from selling?
Probably just the uncertainty within the market. Obviously, there's been some damage to it, and it needs a little bit of a facelift.
Yeah, it's kind of a crazy market. I mean, did you know that we have the highest fallout rate that we've seen in like 20 years?
Didn't know that.
Yeah. So what's happening is a lot of buyers are going to escrow and they're canceling. So, but you guys aren't even going into escrow.
Mm-mm.
Right. Well, let me ask you, once this home sells, where are your clients moving?
They're actually going to Orlando.
Orlando. I love Orlando. Yeah. My family loves Disney. What takes them out there?
They're too close to the water right now. There's obviously a lot of concerns, and I think the husband had a job opportunity out there.
God, and what will happen if this home doesn't sell?
They're going to be squeezed pretty tight.
Okay, so do they kind of like have to sell?
They're motivated.
All right, so let me ask you this. You guys are asking $500,000 for the house, right?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I'm not saying I can do this, but if I was able to bring you a cash offer, get your clients the money in their bank in less than 10 days, and they'll be in Orlando in 2 weeks, but the most I can pay is $400,000, you think they'd consider it?
I can certainly ask them. I think so.
Great. So why don't we do this? Why don't we put together an offer? The worst that can happen is they send a counter. The best that can happen, we get them what you want. You sell the house. They're in Orlando.
I love it. And that's the script you used to get this one done. So the example that you gave
us. Can I ask you, did I just do brain surgery?
No.
Or did I just ask you 10 questions that literally anyone on planet Earth can remember and ask the same freaking question?
Literally 5 to 10 questions. That was it.
That's it. So if you literally took this recording and you practice every question, you're going to make millions of dollars.
That is amazing.
I'm not kidding you. Yeah. Now, here's the secret. You're looking for a needle in a haystack. Well, what does that mean? You got to move a lot of hay. Right. So most people think they're going to get on, make 5 phone calls, get a deal. Oh, hell no.
Yeah.
You're committing to thousands of phone calls and thousands of conversations and getting your ass kicked until you got it. And the second you got it forever.
Okay, you got it forever. I'm going to take everyone through the next step. So then you negotiate it. You got it. I think your exact sample. How much was the one with Kristen in Tampa? It was 700. It was listed at 700.
So I think it was 775.
775.
And we paid 662. I think
662. Okay, so 662 is what you pay for it. So you just brought us through that process. Now you're at 662. One thing you said in your example was that you hired, I believe, a contractor to put in 120K.
Yep.
Okay, so I can get to 662. Now I got a whole nother pain in the ass. I got to get this thing fixed up at a price point that makes sense. Talk me through that process.
Right. Well, in this situation, I have money, right? So, well, actually, here's the truth. Because I've done so many loans, I got a loan for 90, I think it's 90% of the purchase price.
Okay.
So I think I had to put about call it $65,000 down.
Okay.
And then they financed all of my construction. So my total cost out of pocket to buy, fix, and sell this house is about $70,000. You know, I have some carrying costs, things like that. Now, if I didn't have the money, I have 2 options. Option number 1, I go raise private money, friends, family, people I know.
Sure.
Hey, can I take an $80,000 loan at a 10% interest and I'll put a lien against the house? You're in second position behind the lender, right? Yep. So now you're using someone else's money.
Of course.
Or let's just say, no, I don't know anybody. Nobody wants to give me money. So what do we do then? Well, we have the house under contract at 662.
Yeah.
Well, then I'm gonna go on different apps and I'm gonna find out who the investors are that bought all the other homes in that area in the last 3 years, right?
Yeah.
And then I'm gonna find out what their names are, and then I'm gonna go on this thing called the internet, and I'm gonna have them look for their phone numbers and home addresses, and then I'm gonna pick up this thing called a phone, and then I'm gonna call them.
Yeah.
And I'm gonna say, hey, you know that house you flipped 6 months ago on 123 Main Street, that beautiful corner lot? What if I told you I had a deal 4 houses down that I can get you for $725? Would you be interested?
Gotcha. I see it. So you're giving yourself, so anyone listening right now, you have all the options in the world. If you got money, you can put the money down, finance it, and then flip it.
Yep.
If you don't have money, you can wholesale it and still flip it. So you have the options. And then if you get stuck, obviously you just got to make sure that you have a couple bucks so that you can put yourself in a position to make sure you take and make the most of however much that you've negotiated in the margin. Yeah. It's like you said, it is not rocket science. So that makes a lot of sense.
And wholesaling is much easier. Now flipping is much more difficult, but it's only difficult because the decisions that people make.
Yeah.
So let me tell you the 2 reasons why house flipping is difficult. Number 1, the majority, they pay too much for the house because they don't know what to do. They don't take the time to learn how to actually evaluate what to offer. And it's very simple.
What is it?
Let's just say you call me with the house. You're like, hey, I want to sell my house. I don't know what it's worth. What will you pay? It's a 3-bedroom, 2-bathroom, 1,200 square foot house.
There's a house I was just looking at. Okay. So it's listed at 1.7. In 2020, they bought it. It's in a great location. 2020, they bought it for 125, and they said that they put in 100K into it. So their break even based on what they said of putting 100K into it is 1.35, but it's listed for 1.7 and it's sitting for 95 days.
Okay, so that's not the real math. So so the first thing you do is you start with the ARV after repair value.
Okay.
Which is after the home is nice, what is it going to sell for? So what is it listed at?
1.7.
Okay, so their ARV when they went in said at the end when it's done, we're going to sell for 1.7.
Okay.
So to make this house look like
ARV, the listing price is their ARV.
Exactly.
Okay.
So now we have our ARV 1.7.
Yep.
Well, to make the house look like a 1.7 house, we had to spend money. How much?
Yeah. 100,000.
So now we take ARV 1.7 minus 100,000 to fix it.
Yep.
1.6.
Got it.
When we sell the house, we got to pay about 6% closing costs and commission on 1.7, which is 102,000. So that puts us at 1.5.
Yep.
Right. So now it's at 1.5 million. What year did they buy the house?
2020.
And did they fix it up? Or are there renters in there?
No, it's pretty fixed up. It's in good shape. There's no renters in there, and they already moved.
Okay, so they've probably had a $5,000 carrying cost for that house every month.
Yeah.
For the last couple of years. So you take 12 months times 5 is 60,000.
Correct.
Over a couple years.
120.
Yeah. So now what do we have? We have 1.5 minus 120. Their break even is $1,280,000.
And so is that where you would you go down to that?
I would go under that.
Under that?
Who says they need to make money?
Wow.
Who says they need to make money? But again, they're not a distressed seller.
Yeah.
So that's not the person I'd be calling.
I understand.
So here's how a distressed seller would work. If you call me, hey Tarek, you're a homeowner. Tarek, I want to sell you this house. Well, they're going to be like, well, how much will you pay me? This is what I do. 3-bedroom, 2-bathroom, 1,200 square foot house, and I'm California. First thing I do is find ARV. Once this house is shiny and pretty, what's it going to sell for? $800,000. Okay, I know in this neighborhood in California to make this house look like an $800,000 house, it's going to cost me $200,000 in construction.
Right.
So $800,000 ARV minus $200,000 to fix it up puts me at $600,000. I know it's going to cost me about $50,000 to sell it, puts me at $550,000. I know I'm going to have about $20,000 in carrying costs, puts me at $530,000. So what did we just learn? If I bought this house today for $530,000, spent a year of my life fixing it, listing it, selling it, I made $0. So I want to make money, right? My break even's $530,000. Well, how much do you want to make? 100 grand? I offer $430,000.
Interesting.
You want to make 80 grand? I offer $450,000.
Oh, wow.
Identify the break even, then decide how much money you want to make.
Okay, here's a question I got for you. First of all, you mentioned Anaheim. Big fan of Anaheim. We actually, at the agency, we work a ton with Visit Anaheim.
Oh, they're my favorite ever, by the way. Lindsay,
they're the
Mike,
best. Yes.
them.
Oh, they're the best. We got the Anaheim Ducks. We do stuff.
Okay,
we've been out there. Disneyland out there. It's awesome. But real quick, going back to business a little bit. I think one of the issues, and a lot of people feel this right now, especially when they're working with agents trying to buy even a home or flip a home, is the agent has a reputation to protect and credibility. So if they're listing, like let's just go back to my example, they're listing for 1.7. You and I just talked about the 1.28 and going under it. If I go tell my agent to go offer 1.1, I know what he's going to do. He's going to look and be like, dude, I think we're being a little too aggressive, but he's only protecting his ass. He doesn't care about my wallet. How does the buyer, how does the person listening that's about to buy a home protect themselves when they're dealing with an agent that's trying to protect them?
Great question. So in this situation, I would never offer that 1.1 on the house you're talking about because I already know they're not going to take it.
Okay. Because it's not a distressed seller.
It's not a distressed seller.
Got it. Okay.
You got that's the goal. Move a lot of hay to find the needle. The needle's the distress.
Okay.
So you got to find. It only works if you find distress.
Yes. Okay.
Other than that, you're going to get a middle finger.
I got it.
Right.
Okay.
And that's where the hard work comes in.
Okay.
And then what was the second part? Yeah.
The second part of that was just like the idea of like things that with their agent, the agent's job is obviously sell it for more and not hurt the reputation. So you're working against them too, aren't you?
But here's the problem: the agents are fueled by commission.
Correct.
Their job is they're supposed to have a fiduciary duty to their clients. Unfortunately, there's a large majority in this industry that don't, and they have one fiduciary duty to make the most money as fast and easy as they can. So I can't tell you how many times over the years I've literally written offers on deals that were higher and better, and I've lost out because the agent represented a different buyer where they got both sides of the commission and they screwed the seller out of $100,000 so they can make an extra 10.
Jeez.
It happens all day, every day around the entire country.
Unbelievable. Okay.
All day, every day. Because it's not like legal, you know, you get a real estate license, then you're an independent contractor.
Yeah.
And it's a tough industry. You got 10% of the agents doing all the business.
Yeah. Okay. All right. We're going to get into a little bit more of Tarek's personal story and the stuff you're working on, but we had to extract some of this stuff because it is so valuable. We talked about flipping, talked about your tactics, the things that make you so special, and the things that why people can go into ChatGPT and literally look and see how you would do it. I want to get your take right now because I know my listeners, they're writing in all the time. They are struggling with the idea of actually either upgrading their house or the first-time home buyers are dying right now. We know price to income ratio for homes based on earnings back in like the 90s, 80s, and 70s was like 2x. Yeah. Now it's like 6, 7x. So it's gotten crazy. We also have a lot of different things happening that could impact if they want to build, like supply with tariffs, with all these things. So from the expert, the guy that is saying, you say you're the number one flipper in the world, and people hear from real estate agents on this show all the time, but they don't hear from people like you. What advice do you have for them when they're buying a home as far as where we're at given 2025 and all the moving parts of this economic just like standstill and pricing and will it come down and all this stuff?
I'm going to give the best, most honest, raw, real, truthful advice I can.
Okay, let's hear it.
Stop thinking. Stop listening. It's all bullshit. Nobody knows what they're talking about. 30 years from today, you're going to beg you bought a house today. Let me tell you a story.
Okay, let's hear it.
During the Great Recession, I thought my life was going to end. So I got into real estate in 2003. I was like 20 years old.
Okay.
I watched the market go up like crazy. I watched all these other kids around me buying houses, flipping them, making all this money, doing nothing. And I felt like an idiot because I wasn't. But I was like, I'm not buying it. It keeps going up. It's got to go down.
Sure.
So finally, 2006 comes around. I've been in the business for 3 years. The price is more than doubled. I'm like, damn it.
Yeah.
I missed it. I'm buying one. I ended up buying a new construction house in Charlotte, North Carolina, 4-bedroom, 2-bathroom, 2,200 square foot house. Paid $160,000. Brand new house. I'm like, there's no way I can lose money. I can't even build this house for 100. Like, how can you lose money, right?
Little did you know what's coming.
I mean, let me tell you a little something. So here's what I learned. By 2008, that house I paid $160 for was worth $80,000.
Yeah, 2 years. That's crazy.
2 years. When I first bought it, I was renting it for $1,200 a month. When everything changed, it was down to $950 a month.
Wow.
So not only did it drop from $160 to $80,000.
Okay.
My rent went from 12 something to 950. So every month I was losing like $200. And for me back then, I was broke. That was a lot of money. So everybody else was foreclosing and short selling and this and that, but it's the only one I had. And I'm like, I'm just gonna keep it, see what happens. Let me tell you what happened. I still own that house today. The house I bought for $160 that was worth $80, it's worth $400,000. Okay.
Long game.
The house that I got it and it was renting at $1,200 to $950. I just leased it out at $2,100. You want to know what's still the same? My payment. That's the thing. The one thing you can't get back is time.
Yeah.
And this is where people get confused. They spend their whole life waiting for the right moment that never comes. So the right moment is today. Because no matter what, in the future, because of inflation and time, it will be worth more. Now, you can't just go out and buy whatever you want. You have to buy the right assets. Right? So me, for example, like I have a company called TEM Capital. What we do is I partner with my fans, my friends, my followers on social media. And together as a group, we go buy distressed apartment buildings. We build self-storage facilities. We build units, right? Because it's about buying the right real estate. But the whole idea of timing, it just doesn't work. Let me give you an example of why it doesn't work. Imagine this. If I was always trying to time the market and I timed it perfect, and within a 2-year period, I bought 5 houses at the perfect time, right? Now let's say instead of doing that, over a 10-year period, every year I bought 2 houses. Am I going to win if I end up with 20 houses? Or am I going to win if I end up with 5 houses?
I would assume 20.
Why? Because over time,
it's just like
inflation and leverage.
And everything else, yeah.
You're not, the worst real estate deal today, the worst deal in the country today will one day be someone's best deal in the world.
It makes perfect sense. And I do agree with you. I think we get analysis paralysis, especially in a time like right now.
I'm a doer.
You know?
Stop thinking, stop reading, stop listening. I'm self-taught. Okay, here's another thing. I'm self-taught.
Yeah.
I didn't listen. I don't know shit about politics. I didn't read. I didn't take courses. I taught myself how to run this business.
Yeah.
And guess what? I like fast, easy, quick, and I create my own shortcuts and I learn how to do things my way. So I see this business in a different way than other people because they went through traditional education and they were taught by people who were taught by people that went through the traditional ways. No, I learned this from the ground up, starting off as a cold caller. And I learned what works.
from the ground up. Then you're at HGTV.
Yep.
So from, over a decade now. Give people some credibility. Obviously, you've given us so much information here and the number one flipper, but talk to us about some of the numbers here. Like how many houses, we estimated and saw some articles about how many houses you flip, but like, give us how many have you flipped? What do you think as far as profitability, like from a margin perspective, what does it look like? Show us the numbers. Show us the numbers, because the numbers don't lie and the numbers have a soul.
Sure. So since I started in 2010, I've done right around 1,000 deals.
Okay.
That's
1,000 flips.
Flips and wholesales. About 1,000 of them.
Wow.
Yeah. Probably a little bit more actually. Right now we're averaging right now in Southern California, I'd say about 15 transactions a month.
Okay, that's wild.
Yeah, and we're wholesaling. And then those 15 transactions, our average profit per deal, I think, comes in at about $45,000. So, it starts adding up.
So you can make, some months you're making $1 million in profitability from flipping homes. Yeah. And how big is your organization?
Pretty lean, actually. So with the last few years, everything going on, I really got super hyper focused. We got lean. We're better. We're faster. We're smarter than we've ever been. My sales team is only 4 people, and the person running the sales team is my lead salesperson as lead manager. And we have a unit. We're all rowing in the same direction. They're doubling their income from last year. They're getting coached. They're being trained. I'm teaching them. So I'm just very excited because I bring these people in, these guys and girls that, like you were saying, they're looking for a better way. I bring them into my ecosystem and I show them a better way. I teach them a better way. So like I'm always hiring. So if someone's listening, you're talented and you're special, whatever it is you do, I'm hiring because I want to cultivate and motivate and teach people how to become successful.
Right. It makes perfect sense. And I think the cool thing about what you're doing is you need a computer and a phone.
Not even a computer.
You know what I mean?
Just a phone.
Yeah, just a phone. Really, you just need a phone. So I think it's pretty cool. And the way that you've taken such practical information and then have brought it to media and entertainment space, I think is really cool. The last season finale of Flip Off, wild show concept, by the way. Yeah. You and your current wife go into competition with your ex-wife to see who can essentially gain the greatest profitability by flipping homes. And to no surprise listening here, and no shade to anybody, but to no surprise, Tarek, of course, wins. Your ROI was 38.15% compared to Christina's, which was 23.89%.
Yeah, a little bit bigger,
A little bit bigger, almost double. Just say it, Christina. I watch your stuff. You are a hero, but almost double. Talk to me about this. When you do a show like this, didn't you guys have a bet where there was like you owed $2,000 every week or something like that? Like how much money and then a vacation?
Challenges. I would get so mad.
So how much in total did you actually win in just the betting competition?
I think we won $8,000. By the way, Christina, I'm waiting for my vacation.
Yeah. So, she owes you a vacation.
She owed me a vacation.
Where's your vacation going?
We don't know yet. Cabo.
Cabo's a good one. If you had to give us one thing that allowed you in a short period of time to beat Christina in this specific competition with flipping, what was it?
One thing?
What was the one thing that you thought, the trading secret, the thing that allowed you to come through with a 38.5% profitability? Knowledge, okay, of the market.
I've lived not just the market. You got to understand. I've been a cold caller. I've been a door knocker. I've been a contractor. I've been a cleaner. I've been a gardener. This is all for real estate. I've sold them. I've bought them. I've built them. I've remodeled them. I've leased them. I've rented them. I've done every single aspect of this business from the ground up.
I love it. It's pretty cool. When we talk money here, hearing about what you're doing on a monthly basis, maybe up to $1 million in profit in some months, maybe even more. How does that business, when it comes to your income, compare to what's been such a successful and long-run business with HGTV? Like when you look at like the actual business and the income side of it.
I will say I've done pretty well, and they're all pretty powerful. I would say TV for me is just as powerful as real estate.
And is it powerful because of the branding aspect, or is it powerful because of like the potential career span, et cetera?
No, honestly, I do good as talent. I've done a lot of hit shows, and you would think the branding would be some like miracle worker for the. Oh God, it's not.
Yeah.
We're every single day. Now, does it give me an advantage and an edge? Yes, it does. But I'm also in the most competitive environment in the world, Southern California, real estate.
Okay, so this is one that I think would go to any listener here, whether they're in real estate, want to be in real estate, or not even buying real estate. They're all dealing with negotiating. You got to negotiate right now, especially your, whatever it is, your annual raises. It could be your vendors. It could be anything, right? People are negotiating. So you're at HGTV, 10 plus seasons, over a decade from 2013, and now you have a new show coming out. How do you understand what your value should be in entertainment, and what are some tactics you use to negotiate in that space? Because that's a different negotiation style than what I would assume you're doing with flipping houses.
It's a totally different negotiation style. And it's a pretty easy question to answer. The second I feel like my value's being diminished by spending it on TV versus spending it on my businesses, it's time to leave TV.
Okay. And so with that leverage, you could say, I need to go here. And if I don't, then we got to step it up. It's got to make it more sense. Okay.
Yeah, I could leave TV at any time.
Yeah.
So, TV, that's not like, it takes time, right?
Yeah.
So when I'm doing TV, that means I can't be doing real estate.
For sure.
And I'm pretty good at real estate.
Yeah, for sure.
So
exactly.
if I get to a point where I'm not able to get paid the money I need to be paid, then I just stop doing it.
I think it makes perfect sense. All right. And now, speaking of negotiation with HGTV, you did it again. You got another show coming out, still running strong from 2013. Tell us a little bit about your new show.
So season 3, Flipping 101, premiered in April.
Yeah.
And it's a wild season because we actually filmed it about 2 years ago, right when the rates had started going up. You had all these rookie flippers paying too much for houses, putting their life savings on the line. Of course, not listening to Tarek because he doesn't know what he's talking about, obviously, which makes a lot of exciting TV. I mean, the truth is the show would be terrible if they actually listened to me.
Yeah.
I mean, if they listened to me, where would the
You
fun
wouldn't
be?
have a show.
You wouldn't have a show.
Yeah.
So based on the fact that everybody thinks they know better than everyone else, it makes a great TV show.
Interesting. So like this isn't a season where like fireworks are flying, like a little drama, a little head to head a little bit.
There's some drama in there. There's actually these 2 ladies working together. They start off as friends. I don't know how it ended.
Okay, I like that. Well, one other thing I got to ask you, I wrote a book on love and money, and you have been through a divorce, and then of course you now are remarried, and then you do a TV show together. I've already kind of alluded to it. But my question is, how do you specifically manage? I mean, so many people struggle with relationships, and so many, 56% of people are divorced. And the idea of having like a cordial relationship after that, especially when there's business ties and competition, it's unheard of. We're talking about 1% of people. How are you able to not only do that, but then do it in a form where you guys are like being on TV? And what advice do you have for people that can't do it in any capacity?
Got it. So I'll say this. Something that's important to me when I leave this planet is knowing I did the right thing and I was a good person and I brought value to this world. Another thing that's important to me is making sure I am the best parent possible to make sure my kids have the best shot at the best life possible. So the second I start letting my adult feelings, emotions, insecurities, and egos get in the way of what's important for my kids, I lose. So no matter what, I will always do whatever it takes to protect my babies. And if that's filming shows with their mom and being nice with their mom, and I'm not doing it because of that, time has helped with that. But even if we hated each other, I would still do it for my babies.
Wow. So it's the idea of just not making yourself, like, it's not about you.
It's not about
there's
you.
a greater,
All
there's
these
a
adults
greater
out there,
good
act
here.
like an adult. It's not about you. Now, if you don't have kids, go to war, kill each other.
Yeah.
You got kids, act like an adult.
I like it. That's good advice. All right. One thing I want to do is do a quick 180 here. So we've talked from your perspective of flipping. Now I want to talk to your perspective of being a consumer. So we have all your information, and now we are consumers. So if I'm going to buy a house, and let's say it's a flip, so the person I'm buying it from flipped it, where are areas that I can negotiate? You're giving me tips to negotiate against you. What are things I should look for? Where are areas I can negotiate? What are questions I should ask?
So here are important
if
things.
I'm buying a flip.
The majority of flippers, one, they're not pulling permits. 2, they're doing shoddy work. And 3, they're doing it wrong.
This is golden info. Like, for everyone
serious.
listening right now,
It's
this
sad.
is
It's
the
scary.
definition of like a trading secret. Like, you're not going to find this anywhere. So this is good.
The real estate industry is the biggest industry on planet Earth, and it has so many problems with it.
Yeah.
Like, so many problems. And I lost my train of thought, and I was about to tell you something.
But it's the problems about, this is where we're going with this, is like, I'm a consumer and I want to go in and I know you are flipping this house. And this happens every day.
So here's what you got to do.
Permits, all
very,
of that.
very, very important. Especially if you're buying from a flipper.
Yeah.
You need to get all the disclosures.
Okay.
You want a list of, and this is after they accept your offer, by the way. You don't want to scare them off till they take your deal. And that's what people don't understand. As a buyer, when you sign a deal, you can back out of the deal. As a seller, you can't. And So, as a buyer, you go in nice and happy. The second you get a contract, it's time for war.
Interesting.
I want to see the permits. I want to see the work. Were they licensed? Were they bonded? Were they insured? Is there warranty on this work? And then you get a home inspection. Then you have a contractor come in. You rip it apart. You find all the problems. I'll give you a crazy story. This is actually, we haven't really shared this. This is the first time I'm sharing it. We bought a brand new home for our family. We were supposed to move in 2 weeks ago. Brand new house, Newport Beach, brand new. And we demoed our closet and we found some water damage in the corner. Turns out, somehow, throughout the entire brand new house, there was mold under all the flooring.
Oh, geez.
Because at some point, there was some type of a leak from the pool that came in through the foundation, never dried, and they put the floor on top, and it created this moisture barrier. So this brand new house we bought, we just had to rip out all the flooring, all the cabinets, all the counters, and we're pretty much gutting this house. And things like, and I'm a professional, and it happened.
How much did you lose on that?
I don't know yet. Yeah. I don't know yet.
If you had to guess, how much you think?
Well, if the law holds up, I'm owed probably $500,000. Yeah. If it doesn't, I'm going to get screwed for $500,000, or I'm going to spend $500,000 fighting it.
And that's one of the best. I see what you're saying, but that's one of the best in the world doing it, and those things still pop up.
And they still pop up. So,
okay, so then let me ask you this.
Okay, so I just want to say one more thing. Yeah. So you want to, and this is one thing people don't do. They don't check the quality of the work. So remember this. Open and close the kitchen drawers. Do they rattle? Do they shake? Do they make noises? Do they feel sturdy? Do they feel flimsy? I want you to go walk in every shower and I want you to literally stare at the tile. Is it straight? Are the gaps in line? Is it off? Look at the quality of the work. Like, look at the shampoo niche. Is the tile cut straight? Like, if you really look, you're going to start noticing the work. Oh my God, the tile's crooked. There's a 1/2 inch gap, a 1/4 inch gap. And then you don't want to buy that because they're hiring the fastest, cheapest workers to do that work.
Interesting.
And here's another thing.
Yeah.
It's always best to buy a home off of a homeowner that remodeled their house.
Okay.
Here's why. They cared.
That makes sense.
They were passionate. They held the contractor accountable. They didn't rush them. They wanted good quality. They wanted good materials, right? Do you see the difference?
Oh, huge.
Versus someone in trying to cut corners, get in and out, make a quick buck.
Interesting. I also think, like, to that point, it's got my wheel spinning as I'm looking at homes. There was one home I went into, and I will just broadly say he's a professional athlete in a wild professional sport. And then I saw the other home, and I was looking at, like, she's in her office. I'm not touching anything, but it says like Columbia and an MBA in accounting, and I could see the detail versus the professional athlete. The house was like beaten to shit. Yeah. I think that matters too. Like, if you can get an idea of who's living there, it shows the condition of the property.
100%.
Yeah. Let me ask you this though, because I don't want to miss it. We take this advice, which is brilliant advice, right? Go into contract, and then once you're into contract, you're going to war, and then ask these specifics. Once you find out that they didn't have the permits, that it was done poorly, that there isn't a warranty, so you start to see the red flags. How do you then leverage that in negotiation?
It's called retrading on price.
Okay.
Someone just did it to me, actually. They just got, a $60,000, $70,000 reduction off me.
Wow.
Yeah, on a brand new house we just sold in Palm Springs, sold it for $2.4 million. They said they're going to back out if we didn't do this, this, and this. And they had me leveraged because this project was a nightmare and I don't want to deal with it. So I said, fine, I'll eat the 60, 70 grand.
Interesting.
So that's what you do. So you go in, let's say you have a house under contract for $1.6 million. You find out all these problems. You're like, most will pay is 1.45, 1.5.
Okay.
And at least opens up for negotiating.
Yeah,
right?
Makes perfect sense. All right, guys, we're learning a lot of things here. There's also a lot more we can learn because we have had a lot of people come on this show and write a book. So the biggest question I always say, your book came out in April, Flip Your Life. I always like to tell people one of the hardest things to do, one of the hardest things more than even flipping a home, as we've learned, is selling a book. So when people are listening right now, you've given them reason to continue to listen to you. I'm sure they already do know who you are, but why do they buy this book?
Very simple. You only buy this book if you want to know what it really takes to become as successful as humanly possible.
Wow.
Because this is the exact story of how I got to where I got, what I did, what I said, how I did it. And if anyone reads this book and they can duplicate my thought process and the way I see the world, they will be more successful than they ever imagined. I actually challenge you personally, read this book. I can tell you're motivated. I can tell you want to learn. You want to read this book. Yeah. I promise you it'll change your life.
Do you have an audiobook?
I do. Okay. I did it myself. It was torture. It was a nightmare. That's the worst thing in my life. Way worse than TV.
Way worse than TV.
Way worse.
I love it. I will listen to audio. I'm a big multitask guy, ADHD, so I'm going to listen to it and work out.
Clearly.
I'm going to knock this out. Okay, I'm going to get a trading secret from you that's equivalent to your whole entire life. But before I do that, I'm going to get a double session, 2 for 1. I'm going to get a trading secret on your book. When I do listen to this book, when you wrote this book, if you could summarize in one trading secret, like what is one secret of the many that are in here, the golden tickets, what's one people got to know? One trading secret that's in this book.
Well, one trading.
Like one tip, one secret, one advice.
I would say my only secret is I wrote this book as if it was the book I needed when I was a 20-year-old kid.
That's good. Yeah.
When I was a 60-pound overweight, alcoholic, unemployed, ready to like end my life.
Wow.
That's who I wrote this book for.
Wow.
And the secret is this. We've all been lied to about everything our entire life. Every single thing is a lie. And I prove it every single day with everything I do. From your parents to your teachers. But you know what the truth is, though?
What do you mean by that, though? Like
they mean well. They don't know any better.
Yeah.
They really believe what they're saying. Like our parents, when they tell us stuff, they believe they're right. Yeah. To this day, my mom tells me to leave all I'm doing and go back to school just in case. You see, but she believes that.
Yeah.
But it's wrong.
Right.
You see what I'm saying?
Yeah, I think a lot of people that advise us are operating either in places that they had yet to do it and or they're operating of their own fears in which they want to feel safe.
Yeah, and for most people, they're like, oh, get advice from the right people. Okay, I grew up in Buena Park, California. I remember my neighbor had a C-Class Mercedes. I'm like, they're rich. I should go ask them what they do. No, exactly. They're not rich, and don't ask them. Find the most successful people in the world at whatever it is you want to do. Read their books, study them on YouTube, listen to their podcasts, and start building who you want to be.
I love it. Great advice. All right. So go check out Flip Your Life. I'm going to be listening to it out February. Your new show, HGTV, Flipping 101, right, is out. It premiered in April. Everyone's going to have to check that out. I will highly encourage. I watched it and it was pretty damn good. The HGTV show, The Flip Off with Tarek and his ex-wife and current wife. Highly entertaining. But we got to wrap with this. This is the creme de la creme, the trading secret. So those were specific to your book. You've given us 10,000 trading secrets on real estate. This could be a financial trading secret, a life trading secret, career navigation, anything, but it's specific to everything you've been through, from entertainment to flipping homes and the 1,000+ that you've executed it on. What can you leave us with, Tarek?
I'm going to simplify real estate investing to one single metric that if anyone follows this metric, they will change their life.
Okay.
And it sounds crazy. The story's in my book.
I'm locked in.
It comes down to contacts. A contact is a conversation. There's only 2 ways to find real estate deals. Way number 1, talk to people that own them. Way number 2, talk to people that sell them. So there's 2 ways. Now, if you do that 5 days a week and talk to at least, at a minimum, 30 people a day and ask them if they have any deals that you can buy that are distressed, you will find deals. You don't have to know anything about real estate. Nothing. You're going to learn just by asking questions. And another thing, people say, well, what do I say when I call? Google Tarek El Moussa, go on Zillow. I used to do live calling sessions. They're all there. You can literally watch me make live calls and listen to the questions I'm asking. Yeah. I teach people. It's all there. What prevents people from success is they're not doing. They're wondering. But what the hell are you wondering for? The answers are there. Yeah. You just have to make the decision to take action. And that's where people, they don't take the action. They don't do the doing. They talk about the doing. They practice, they study the doing. They watch the doing. They read about the doing. But they don't do the actual doing. Yeah. So anyone in the world today, if they called people that sell houses or own houses or knocked on doors, talked to 30 people a day for 90 days, I guarantee they'll make more money than they ever made in their life.
Wow. Jeez, keep it simple, right? Like,
well, that's how I got here.
Execute. And like my trading secret that I got from you, but there's a lot of like specifics that I'll be executing on. I don't know if I'll ever go through a house tour again and not think about you, by the way. I'll be in the bathroom staring at the tile. Is that straight? No, it's not. But I think the big thing is like paralysis analysis. Like you just fucking do it. Just execute on the deal.
Can I tell you, done. Can I tell you one story?
Yeah.
Just one story. And this should be very impactful.
Yeah.
I graduated high school. I got my real estate license. I started selling real estate. I was like 20 years old, JCPenney pants, white socks. My first 6 months in the business, I'm holding open houses. I'm doing all the bullshit that everybody's doing. I make no money, no clients, nothing. It was awful, right? One day, I ended up going to this coaching thing. It was a free coaching event where they sold coaching. But at the event, this guy, his name was Mike Ferry. He was a professional speaker.
Okay.
He convinced me I was going to be the world's top producer. I was going to be a millionaire. I was going to sell the most houses, blah, blah, blah. He convinced me to sign up for coaching. It was $1,000 a month in 2003, which is like $1 million today.
Sure.
Okay. And at the time, I broke up with my girlfriend. My parents got divorced. My mom rented out my bedroom for income, so I was sleeping on a cot in the garage next to my dirt bike.
Damn.
I had no money. Driving a 1985 Buick. So I signed up for coaching. And here's what happened. I didn't know anything about real estate. And my coach said, I need you to talk to 20 people a day. I said, easy, I'll do 50. He's like, no, you won't. I'm like, no, I will. He goes, no, you won't. Nobody does. You won't even do 5. I'm like, I'll do 50. So then I said, we call it the 90-day sprint. I told my coach, I think his name was Dean Cheatham, 90-day sprint. For 90 days, 6 days a week, I'm going to make 50 contacts a day. And on Sunday nights, I'm going to work for 3 hours. I did that for 90 days. You want to know what happened after 90 days?
What?
I brought in $300,000 in commissions.
Wow. Just in 90 days.
But let me tell you the funny part. I didn't know anything about real estate. So I had to bring another realtor with me on the appointments.
Yeah.
So I only got to keep half.
That's
So now I'm a 20-year-old kid, made $150,000 in 90 days. A few months later, I bought $1 million house up in the hills.
Wow. Not even knowing,
wanna
not
know
even being able to spell real estate.
Want to know how I did it?
How?
50 contacts a day.
That whole solution, that formulaic solution.
Yeah, because if you ask enough people the same freaking question, someone's going to say yes.
Yeah, especially if you're in the right lane.
Exactly.
Buyers, sellers.
Yeah.
There's a lot there.
That's it, folks.
That's it, folks. Well, Tarek, I'm going to have to get out to, we already brought it up, visit Anaheim. I'm going to have to get out to Anaheim. We're going to have to go see some of these flips in action because I know that's your territory out there, Orange County, all over the place. But we'll make it happen. We'll be out there in April for, I think we're doing some event stuff with Stagecoach and Coachella. And I know you got another property over there. You got properties all over
I have a house there in PJ West, right next to where you guys are going.
You got a house everywhere. So when we get out west, we will make sure we give you a call. And you know what? Thank you so much for being on Trading Secrets. Where can everyone find everything you have going on? The shows, reaching out to you, your book, where can they get everything?
I mean, literally everything, Tarek, would be on my social media. On Instagram, it's at the real Tarek El Moussa, because someone stole my account many years ago. But that's where you can find everything, Tarek, or you can go to temcapital.co.
Okay, and on TikTok, it's Tarek El Moussa.
Yep.
You didn't have to do the reel on TikTok yet because you got that one. And then on YouTube, I have Tarek El Moussa videos, right?
Yeah, and then I think Facebook, it's Tarek El Moussa also.
All right, cool. Yeah. And you'll have to check out all things. We're looking forward to the new show, and thank you for being on this episode of Trading Secrets.
Thank you.